What's up everybody, it's Amaya. So today's video is going to be one that I'm really excited to do and that just kind of popped in my head today and I thought would actually be a pretty helpful video. So I'm going to be talking about my favorite affordable brushes and makeup sponges. I'm going to be naming my top 4 favorite brushes and then my top 3 favorite beauty sponges. Honestly, brushes can be really expensive, but I don't feel like you, to create an amazing makeup look, need really expensive brushes. Sure, there are definitely some expensive brushes out there that work amazingly and that are totally worth the splurge, but for the most part, if you're just someone doing makeup on an everyday, day-to-day basis and not a professional working makeup artist, you don't really need to splurge on the really expensive high-end brushes. I have 4 different affordable brushes here. 3 of the 4 are actually drugstore brushes that you can buy right at the drugstore. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so I'm gonna start with, I think, like the cheapest brushes that you can buy. I've actually seen these brushes at the dollar store, and they are the Wet n Wild white brushes. I don't think they're called anything specific, but they are just the ones in the white and pink sort of packaging and design. They also came out recently with a brand new one, I think around the holiday time, and that one's a little bit more expensive. I have not tried that, but I have heard fairly good things about it. But this white and pink collection is so good. Like I said, these brushes right here, like these eye ones, you can find right at the dollar store for only $1. I've also seen them at Five Below. You can actually find the bigger ones at Five Below. I love these brushes so much. They are so good. I have the blush brush, the stipple brush, and then I think this is the powder brush right here. These are so nice and soft. You guys see me use this one in almost every one of my tutorials. I use this guy every single day to apply my powder. They're so soft and so nice. I love the stipple brush for applying blush, bronzer, or you can use it for powder. The blush brush I don't actually use a whole lot, but when I do, I actually use it for bronzer because it's kind of thin. It's thinner than I would typically use for blush, so I like to use it to kind of contour. And then as far as the eye brushes right here, I have like this fluffy blending one, this flat eyeshadow brush, a little smudger brush, an angled brush, and then like a flat concealer brush. I love all of these. This fluffy one is absolutely amazing for just buffing color into the crease. Love the angled brush for brows or liner. This flat concealer brush you can pretty much use for a lot of different things. You could use it to cream contour and actually put on concealer. You can use it to set your lids. It's a very versatile brush, and the same thing with the eyeshadow brush. And then lastly, the smudger brush is so tiny and so perfect for getting under that lower lash line. These brushes hold up so well. I actually just cleaned all of my brushes yesterday. So as you can see, this is like the 3rd or 4th time some of these have been cleaned, and they look pretty much brand new. They are really great brushes. I highly recommend them. Moving up in price a little bit, but not too much. Honestly, these are still pretty cheap. I have e.l.f. brushes. Specifically, they're black brushes that look like this. They're like either all black or like black and white. The ones that look like this, I think it's their like professional line. They have a bunch of different lines, but these ones specifically are my favorite. I have the pointed powder brush here, which I love for bronzing. I also have the stipple brush, which is amazing for blush or bronzer or powder, whatever you'd like to use a stipple brush for. And then for the eye brushes, I have their signature professional eyeshadow brush. This is in a black packaging because it came in a limited edition of brush set, but it's typically white. And that one you can actually also find at the dollar store a lot of times because it's usually $1 or $2. But it's an excellent eye brush. I recently had one that I just threw away, but I had it for I think 4 years. And it's only $2 brush. Like, that's crazy. I also have their flat eyeshadow brush, which is similar to their professional eyeshadow brush, except it's kind of tapered and pointed and a lot more flat and dense. So just depends on what you like. I also have their blending brush, which is very similar to like a MAC 217 or a Morphe M433, something like that. It's very similar. It's kind of just a nice tapered blending brush for really getting the color in the outer crease. And then I have their crease brush, which is awesome for packing color onto the outer corners. You could even use this to do a really blown out lower lash line. These are really awesome brushes. I love them. Again, they're very affordable. Like, I think the most expensive brush here is probably $5 or $6. They are excellent. They're excellent quality. I have washed these ones again so many times, just recently washed them, and they still feel so soft, so smooth, and they work excellently. And then I also have 2 brushes from their Beautifully Precise line. I have this one, which is the 107 highlighting brush, and then I have this guy, which is the 203. It's like a brow brush. So I like these. However, I feel like you really are paying for the packaging. I feel like they're not like any softer necessarily than the professional line, the black ones. I feel like if you really like the look of these brushes and there's a certain brush in that line that you really like, then go ahead and splurge a little bit. They are a little bit more expensive. Like for instance, they didn't have a brush similar to this in their professional line, and I didn't really have a brush similar to this in my collection, so I went ahead and bought it, and it's a really, really nice fluffy tapered brush. I love using brushes like this for blush. You could also use it to highlight, however it's a little bit big for me. You can use it to sweep away bake underneath the eyes, really anything. It's a very, very versatile brush. It's just so soft and so smooth. I love it, and the packaging is just to die for. I love it. And then this is probably one of the best drugstore brow brushes I have ever used. It's very similar to my Brow Gal brush that I use all the time, but that one comes in a kit that's like $21 or something like that. This guy I think is like $6-7, maybe even cheaper than that. You do get a nice spoolie on the other end, and this spoolie is so nice and small. It's perfect for brows, whether you have big brows, small brows, thin brows, thick brows, anything. And then the angled side on this is so great for doing your brows. It's not too thick, it's very thin and precise. Really reminds me again of my Brow Gal brush, which is so expensive, or my Sigma brush, which is a lot more expensive as well. It's a really, really great brow brush. So if you're looking for one from the drugstore, it's awesome. It's double-ended, really great brush. So yeah, e.l.f. brushes, they are awesome. They do have some really good brushes in their like $1 to $2 line, but I would go with the professional line, which is just like a little bit of a step up. Okay, moving right along, I'm going to talk about BH Cosmetics. So BH Cosmetics is so underrated when it comes to brushes because their brushes are so freaking good. They are awesome. They are very comparable to e.l.f. or Wet n Wild as far as price range goes, but as far as quality goes, they're really good, like up there with like Sigma brushes. I reach for these brushes over my Sigma brushes. So this is actually a 7-piece brush set that I bought at TJ Maxx. They have it online, and BH Cosmetics is always running sales, so that's always awesome. But it comes with a nice fluffy brush like this. This is just like the Sigma E40, actually a little bit fluffier and a little bit better if I do say so myself. This was my ride or die crease brush for the longest time. I have a new one now, but I still do pick up this one all the time. It comes with this nice flat concealer brush, which I also used for the longest time for setting my lids. Now I use the fluffier brush, but this one I still use again all the time. This pencil brush right here is the pencil brush you always see me use in tutorials to smoke out my lower lash line. I use this every single day. I travel with this brush. I cannot live without this brush. It's so awesome. It washes so well. It has white bristles, and it also is from a cheaper brush set, so you would think that it wouldn't wash well, but like I said, I just washed this one and it is so smooth and awesome. Love it. Then it comes with an eyeshadow brush, which I don't use a ton because it's a little bit more dense, a little bit more thick than I would typically use, but I do use it from time to time. Then it comes with this thin, fluffy, kind of angled eyeshadow brush, which I do actually like for smoking out the lower lash line in a pinch because it's nice and fluffy, and I like the angle of it. Then lastly, we have this little tiny like liner or lip brush. I actually use this to apply my castor oil at night for my lashes. So it has a little bit of oil residue on it right now, but you could definitely use this for lining your lips with some lipstick. You could use it for applying eyeliner. I feel like it's a little bit thick for that, but you could still try and use it for that. And then I also have this guy right here, which is the angled brush, and again, this one is an awesome one for brows and liner. I really like it. I also have one of their brushes from their vegan collection. This is the V5, and this is exactly like a Morphe brush, and I cannot tell the difference, you guys. These vegan brushes I want to try more of because, like I said, I only have one, but they are so soft and so smooth, and they're vegan. The packaging is also really similar to Morphe's, and it's really, really gorgeous. So yeah, this is the V5 from the vegan collection. Highly would recommend those. I want to try out more because this brush is so good and so promising. BH Cosmetics is now sold at Ulta. I don't know if any of their brush sets are, but their makeup is. So if you can find their brush sets, that's awesome. If not, check out the BH Cosmetics website. They're always running sales, and a lot of times you can even find coupon codes. They are really, really affordable, and their brush sets, so good. And then lastly, what would an affordable brushes video be without mentioning Morphe? I know you guys are probably so tired about hearing about Morphe. I'm kind of tired of hearing about Morphe too, I'm not gonna lie, but I know there's such polarizing opinions on Morphe brushes. The only bad experience I have had is my foundation brush. The top of it came off. So like the barrel part right here like came off from the handle. I just put some hot glue in there, glued it back on, and I haven't had an issue since. That could happen with any brush though. So I'm not dogging Morphe just for that, but like I said, it's not like I've never had a negative experience, but for the most part, I have been so happy with their brushes. These are my favorites. Like I said, I do have a foundation brush. I do like that one, but I don't use it a lot. So it's a great foundation brush, but I don't use it a ton. These are my actual favorites. I have the M501. This is my favorite highlighting brush. I also have the M510, but I like this one better. I know it's kind of confusing. You have an M501 and an M510, but the M501 is the black one. I just think it applies highlight so precisely, so beautifully, and it doesn't make it look streaky or doesn't make it fall everywhere. It's a really nice, precise brush. I also have the Morphe M504, and this is my ride or die crease brush right now. I love it so much. I used it to create this eye look today. You guys see me use it in all of my tutorials. It's so fluffy. It's so beautiful. If you have really small eyes, this might be a little bit big for you, but for me who has like small and medium sized eyes, and then for those of you with big eyes, you're going to love this brush. It's just so nice and fluffy. It just puts your transition shade in your eyes so well, and it just makes your eyeshadow look blend out beautifully. And then I have the Y17. This is what it looks like. It's a really pretty tapered sort of crease brush. I love using this to buff out my outer corners. I used this in a recent tutorial and it's really, really good. You can see it in action there. It looks so good and I love how soft it is. I also have the M441, and this is also really nice for blending on the outer corners. You could actually use this as a crease brush. I would recommend this to someone with a little bit smaller eyes who wants a more precise application of your crease color as opposed to the M504, which is so big and fluffy. You can see there's a bit of difference between these two. This one over here, the M441, is a little bit less fluffy, a little bit not as big. Then I have the M433, which I mentioned earlier as being very similar to the e.l.f. blending brush. This one I do like a little bit better because it does have the natural hair, so it doesn't pick up as much product. I feel like it blends a little bit better, but I actually have 3 of these. I have 3 because I love them so much. They are so good. I just like these for blending in the outer corners, getting into that crease really nicely. Excellent brush. Then I have the E28, which I said was very similar to the BH Cosmetics vegan brush. This one's just a little bit fluffier, a little bit bigger, but this is awesome for packing color into the outer corners or, like I said, blending into the crease a little bit. It's a really, really nice fluffy brush. I actually used it for this eye look today. I absolutely love this itty bitty brush. This is the E36. This is what I use to highlight my inner corners. Used it today. You could also use this for the brow bone. You could use this to smoke out the lower lash line. Perfect, tiny, precise brush for anything that you could use. So yeah, these are my favorite Morphe brushes. Morphe runs anywhere from like $2 to like $10. I know they have some like bigger face brushes that can be like $12, I think, but they don't go over like $15. You can also buy their brushes in sets, which is really, really nice. I like that. For the most part, I haven't tried a brush from any of their collections that has been bad. So I would say go ahead, place an order. You can also buy these at Ulta now, which makes them super convenient. You can use your Ulta points. You can actually get them in store. And they have some of these best-selling brushes like the M433 and the M441. You can find so many of these in Ulta, which is awesome. Okay, now let's talk about sponges. There are so many bad sponges at the drugstore. It's really hard to go through trial and error of buying these sponges, and at that point you're like, if I'm trying 5 sponges for like $4, I might as well just go buy a beauty blender for 20 bucks, right? Wrong. I think you can find some really, really great sponges from the drugstore. There are some excellent ones out there. I have my top 3 here, but I will mention some other ones that are good. So the first one I want to mention is a new favorite. This is the Sonia Kashuk one. I don't know what it's called exactly. It's either this Sonia Kashuk blending sponge, the Sonia Kashuk sponge. Not sure what it is, but this is $7 for a single one or a 2-pack for $10. might as well just buy the 2-pack for $10, right? You get 2 sponges, it's like $5 each. That's awesome. The thing that I love about this is how big it gets. It gets so big and squishy, which I love. The flat side is perfect for applying foundation. I absolutely love it. And then the pointed tip, of course, is nice for concealer. I will also bend this sponge and kind of squish it and use it to blend out cream contour or put cream blush on. It's just a really nice sponge. And because it is so big, you can use like concealer on one side and powder on the other side, or concealer on one side and highlighter, like liquid highlighter on the other side. It's a really nice versatile sponge, and I feel like it just makes my makeup go so fast when I apply this. I'm just like done. Next, I have a newfound favorite as well. This is the Dewy Highlight and Contour Sponge from Real Techniques. Now, I'll be totally honest, I was such a skeptic trying this out. This was part of a recent haul that I did, so you will be hearing about it again in the haul update, but I just had to put it in this video because it is so amazing. I have never seen a sponge this shape, and when I saw it, I was like, this has to be a gimmick. Like, come on guys, do we really need a sponge this shape? And let me tell you, you do. And it works, and someone thought this through, and I am so mad at myself for being a skeptic because you guys, it works. It's kind of like this blobby sort of snowman looking shape, except it has a flat end on the big end and a flat end on the small end. So I love this rounded area, not the little flat side, but the rounded area for blending out concealer. Also, this little divot in here makes it so easy to hold. And then the slanted side on the small part is absolutely perfect for applying liquid highlighter or cream highlighter. It's so nice. It's so flat, which makes it excellent for just blending into your cheekbones, and it's the perfect tiny little size to get in there without it being too big. And then on the other side, you have this big flat side. This is the most perfect way to blend out your cream contour. I'm not even joking. Like, this is like the best sponge I have used to blend out cream contour ever. It's the perfect size, and it gets so squishy and amazing. I like this texture better than I like my Beauty Blender texture. Like, it's so squishy and nice. I absolutely love this sponge. And then lastly, I have the Morphe Highlight and Contour Sponge. So this guy is so awesome. And again, it's one of those shapes that you think is just like a gimmick, like they're trying to make it a cool shape so that way you'll buy it, but it does have a purpose. So you have your pointed end for doing your concealer, but the slanted ends work awesome for foundation. You can also use this sharp edge to carve out your contour. I've used this to blend out my cream contour. You can also use this little edge to cream highlight. It's just really, really nice. I love how it has these 2 flat ends and then the pointed tip. It was really well thought out. This is also great to use for powder because you can kind of put it in your loose powder and bake underneath your contour, bake down the sides of your nose, underneath your eyes, all over the face if you want to. It's just an awesome sponge, and I love the texture of it. So that is all I have to share with you guys today. Again, these are not my only favorite brushes from the drugstore. I have lots of other ones. I have lots of other affordable brushes, especially sponges. I have more I could mention, but I'm going to stick with my top 3 and top 4 because I want to give you guys a nice concise list to start out with. If you guys would like to see more, maybe my not so favorites, let me know in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up so I know that you liked it. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Mwah! Bye. It's delicious.